4 years ago next month, just over a month into the first and only presidential term of the twice impeached Donald Trump, I interviewed American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp about why Republicans had rallied around a thrice-married vulgarian like Trump. Schlapp's answer was instructive. Donald Trump is not going to be careful. He's going to push through his agenda. And so they like the fact that he fights, Schlapp told me. And boy, did Trump fight. All the time, with everyone. He was in our faces 24/7, 365 for 4 unrelenting years, roaring with hate, obscenities, and various forms of self-aggrandizing inanity. Compare that to the relative silence coming from the White House of President Biden. No ad hominem attacks, no sophomoric nicknames, no wallowing in racial grievance. Biden is the adult who's returned order to a house upended by the childish and destructive chaos of the previous tenant. That's not to say that Biden isn't afraid to raise his voice, isn't afraid to fight. Just listen to him make the case for his $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan during a speech on Friday at a Pfizer plant in Michigan.
Now, critics say my plan is too big, that it costs $1.9 trillion. So that's too much. Let me ask them, what would they have me cut? What would they have me leave out? Do we not invest $3 billion to keep families from going hungry? 1 in 5 Americans are behind in their rent. 1 in 10 are behind in their mortgages. How many people do you know that will go to bed tonight staring into the ceiling and say, God, what is going to happen if I don't get my job, if I don't have my unemployment check? What's happened to me? I'm losing my health insurance. What do I do? This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
There are myriad differences between President Biden and Donald Trump. But as that soundbite highlights, when President Biden publicly shows anger, which is rare compared to his predecessor, it's usually on behalf of someone in need, someone else being bullied. And it's resonating. That's why his average approval rating since inauguration has been above 50%. That's why 83% of Americans support Biden's American Rescue Plan. We're a nation beset by problems that only a leader can fix. An empathetic leader who can intellectually and intuitively guide us through to solving them. That's why Biden was elected. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Biden is perfect or a saint. The guy's going to make mistakes. And he's going to piss people off. And that's just among folks in his own party. But the one thing we won't have to worry about is a petulant president berating the rest of us every hour of the day as he nurses whatever petty injury has befallen his tender ego. Nope. We have an adult in the White House now. And it's glorious. I'm Jonathan Capehart. And this is The Sunday Show.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.